There we go. So, yeah, this is going to be me and Chris building a plugin for Lita to do ambush just like how Hubot can. So, I believe all we need to do is a handful of gems, a little bit of Ruby, and a Redis backend. Does that sound right, Chris?
Uh, yeah, that sounds about right.
Um, because, obviously someone might watch this without knowing this. This is Lita right here. It's basically a gem-driven um, chatbot for HipChat, IRC, whatever. It uses gems as the backend, and the plugins are pretty straight, easy to go. Um, I think actually before I even start, or where I was going to go with all this stuff, did I actually do this? Did I create that? Is that the one I created? I, Chris, can you kind of explain the layout of a Lita plugin? Because I started playing around with just like the real basic ones, and I was already kind of confused.
All right. The basic layout you can get actually from running Lita handler, I believe. Once you have the Lita gem installed.
Okay, hang on. So, yeah, I just stole another one and just started changing things from something else to ambush, but maybe this is probably the better idea.
Yeah, so run Lita help. I think Lita help should do it.
I'm trying to make this bigger. Good. Can you see that?
Yeah,
Yeah, help.
there you go. So basically, the best way to start one that I've found, if you just want to start a new handler, because this is going to be a handler, um, is you type Lita handler and then the name of it, and it'll basically create a directory with that name and give you all the boilerplate code to get a handler started.
What's the difference between an extension and a handler?
From the docs, basically, an extension is meant to augment functionality of an adapter or another plugin. Um, Handlers are basically meant to respond to chat routes or HTTP routes or events and do things. Extensions are more kind of back-end code, and then adapters are actually interfacing with chat services like IRC or Java or whatever.
Okay, cool. All right, so Lita, um, yes.
Yeah, by answering yes to these or no, it'll actually add the Travis YAML file and other things.
Oh, wow. So now I have everything I need right there.
Yep. So now you have the base of everything. First thing I would do is actually get init, and get add star. Basically get everything in its current state into Git or a Git repo. Um, don't forget to add. Okay, good. It did add the Travis and Git ignore files. So now you're ready to start hacking.
Nice. All right, so um, handlers, ambush spec, and then
Daddy,
yes.
I want goats.
Well, that's mommy. With Rita ambush. So all the work looks like it's going to be done in handlers.
Yep.
Ambush.
Actually, there's a subfolder. There you go. So yep. So this file is that class right there. The ambush class is where all the magic's going to happen.
Okay. Why is this not working? Okay, so the first thing we need to do is add to this gem file Redis, or gem spec, I should say, right?
No, you don't have to add anything. It should already be in there. Part of running Lita is Redis is already there. You just have access to a Redis object in your handler that Lita sets up for you.
Oh wow, so this is completely like hella easier than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, yeah. You have access right there because you've extended from handler. You have access to a Redis object. You have access to an HTTP object for making requests and otherwise, and then you have access to like the config object if you decide to have configuration options.
Okay, so should we just like write a simple test that says, if we create, I don't know, how do we start this?
Um, your first test should probably be
Yeah, I can. Actually, Chris, can we take a couple? No, okay. God. All right, never mind. My bad. Go ahead. Sorry.
oh yeah, okay. If you need to take a break, let me know.
No, I'm good.
Um,
I'm good. I'm good.
so the first test is, in this case, is probably um, seeing that the bot consumes whatever message you're trying to send it.
Okay. So it should um, respond with ping, do, and expect. Um, is it like a response? What is the
There's a replies object,
why?
and it's replies.last would be the last thing that is heard or seen. Um,
Like that?
I don't know if you can, I don't know the Rspec format. It's not written like that in the handler docs.
Okay. Let's look at the handle docs then.
Yeah. Yeah. Pull up docs and then plugin authoring, and then there's a good testing thing down there at the bottom. There you go. So yeah, so like that first example there actually is probably the first thing you want to test is, will it route whatever message you're trying to send it.
Okay.
And then if you look a little further down that page, it shows you the responses.
I want both of those.
Okay.
I want, I want Dr. Stuffy and Stuffy. Look, I want those.
Okay. We'll see. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the first thing we need to do is create a route for since so expected to route ambush right, that's going to be the main command for this thing, right? So we want to make sure that Lita routes ambush.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yep.
Is it supposed to be in quotes like that?
So that's routing an actual. Basically, think of it like this: if somebody were to type that exact string into chat or PM or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you want it to route. So
Okay.
if you were to send ambush to a chat that your lead bot was listening to, you would want it to route it somehow.
Okay, so I don't actually want that. I want. Can I do regex in here?
I wouldn't bother. I would just put in fake data because
Okay.
you're talking about adding a name and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say, ambush whatever. Yeah.
Sure, that works. So then over here, Rspec, spec. So obviously we don't have the route right now.
Correct.
Okay. So then, is there a demo route that we have over here?
If you scroll up and hit chat routes, you'll see the examples. It's really straightforward. Route, in the basic form, it's route, a regex, and then you either pass it a function pointer, or in that case, you can actually use the do format. I prefer the top one, just personally, but either one is fine.
What's the difference?
That actually calls a function. So because of the way I like to lay things out, I put all my routes at the top of the file, and then I have my functions underneath.
Okay.
But either one, you know.
Um,
And that takes one parameter, which is I describe it as a request because it really is. But that object that comes in will have your matches for your match groups on the regex and some other information if you need it. No, it's only one object. You have to actually hit the matches property off of that object. That's why I said it's like a request object, really.
okay. So that would be, yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, just call it request. The docs always have response or res in there, but it's not really a response object. It's a request object if you think of it in like web terms almost.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but that's the bare minimum. So now it should respond to, or it should route your request in theory, assuming your regex is right.
Nice.
There you go.
Okay. Is there a not test for this?
I'm not sure. I don't really like negative testing, so
Expected not to. There we go. Because I want to obviously do right, so
yeah.
expected not to. That, and then that. Because that tests my regex correctly also, right?
Yeah.
So it got the first one, it got all of them, but this one didn't.
What's your regex look like? So it fails on the space, and that's because you have a dot plus before this, or before the second colon. Dot plus can match spaces too.
Okay. So this should be
Slash whatever the character or number actually.
no
So whatever alpha, no, because basically anything that's not a space.
Uh, ah, what programming is done with regex parsing than anything else I've discovered, right? Alright, and then okay, so yeah, you were saying that this guy needs to be any word boundary. No,
I would say the slash big S non-white space character.
yeah, there we go. Okay. Awesome. So then
So
one last.
the only thing I could see that causing problems with is if this is connected to a Jabber handler, say,
Okay.
um, because Jabber allows for spaces and names. The regex is probably fine, but it may warrant more testing, um, if that makes sense.
I think it does. And let's tackle that when we have a working plugin.
Yeah, that's a minor tweak at that point.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so we got our first test, and we route to here now. So the next step would be to take the request. Okay. So the next test will be to expect well, we'd want to actually we'd actually want to call the ambush definition here, right? And do something.
Yeah, and so you can do it. You can call it directly, but calling it via that send message will be easier, I think.
Sophia, he party
This guy right here?
set.
Yeah.
I want those so special.
Okay, so send message. This guy. Working test.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. Message that expect replies last to equal what was it? User.name. I've stored the ambush or the ambush, yeah. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, I think that's right. You will have to, for this to work, you'll have to create a mock user here. because that's where that u.name is coming from, is the mock user. That's part of the, it's actually part of the test there. Or no, I guess it may not be needed here. For the more complicated stuff, you'll actually have to create mock users, which it shows a little further down there. This one, I think it just creates a default user, so disregard what I just said for this test.
Okay. Okay. So that's expected, right?
Yeah.
Then we now need to return. We're just being lazy, right? Instead of passing test, we can just do that.
That won't pass the test. You copied the wrong string.
Okay. Oh shit, you're right. I mean, I know this is the wrong way to do it, but I just,
Well, no, that's test-driven development. You write the bare minimum to pass the test. So you can either put the test user, like the name, hard-coded in there, or there's the request object has a user property, and it'd be request.user.name.
okay.
So that should work, I believe.
And also I want Sophia changing that.
Okay.
Oh, that's because you're returning it. You need to do, the bot needs to reply, so it's request.reply.
Sophia Play-Doh. And then I want
Like
to-
this?
Yeah.
I want to Sophia Play-Doh. I want to Sophia Play-Doh.
All right.
Daddy, okay.
I heard.
Two Play-Doh.
Two Play-Doh.
Play-Doh.
Okay.
One. Sophia one. More Play-Doh. Sophia one.
All right. So now we need to refactor this into I need to take the request and need to how do I tell it to, like, how can I test breaking up the request into two match groups? Because I want to see the user and I want to see the message, right?
Right.
Two Sophia Play-Doh.
Okay.
Well, so to your normal test for that, you wouldn't test that directly. You would test that Redis received your request for like proper test driven. If you really wanted to break that specific functionality out, you would basically create a new method and unit test that method.
Okay. What's the best way to do it?
The best way would be to go ahead and move on to basically figuring out how to mock Redis if we need to do any mocking for that, and then basically put an expect on the Redis object to say expect this to be inserted, where this is a username and a message, or whatever you're planning to store in Redis.
Okay.
And that's how you test that your request is being properly parsed, because then you'd be able to tell, okay, Redis was told to store this key value pair.
Okay. So you said there's a built-in.
Yeah. So there's a way
Redis.
Yeah. So that's the Redis object you can use in your code. I'm not sure if you need to do any mocking for it for testing purposes. Sorry, hitting the docs myself.
That's what pair programming is about, right? Asking questions and trying to figure out the best way to do it. And Greg, you're there? Or are you just kind of listening?
I'm just listening. I'm too tired to be of any help.
Is that all the documentation on Redis?
Yeah. If you look up, so it tells you exactly what it is, a Redis namespace object there.
Mm-hmm.
If you Google that, it'll take you. I forget the library it's in. But is that right? See if I can find it. I found it once.
Rescue running that Redis namespace?
Yeah, it's under rescue.
Yeah, rescue. Yeah.
Basically, if you know anything about Redis, it exposes that object exposes all of the Redis functionality. So get, put, or get, set, even the list functionality. Basically, if you go to the Redis docs and look at the functions, all of the functions are there. They're just lowercased and Rubyized.
Okay. So we would want to do this guy, and we want to expect Redis dot set dot get wait, no, that's not right. Because we actually have to make the actual object, right?
Say it again.
We have to make the actual object the Redis object.
You don't have to make it. It's just there.
How do I call to it?
Just Redis dot.
Redis dot like that.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
No. Okay. So then set Okay, just look at um, user one, two, two equal um, this is a taco. And then,
I think you're missing a parenthesis there too.
okay, uh,
When you get there.
like that. Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
this line takes the two matching groups, sets it inside of Redis. The first matching group is a user, second matching group as the message. This one gets against the user and it should come back as this is a taco.
Where did you pull your match groups from?
This guy? Isn't that what this is?
No, the request object has the match groups in a dot matches, so you need to pull them out of there.
Oh, I don't know that syntax. Can you help me?
Uh, basically, it's request dot matches um, bracket 0 bracket 0.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or 0 1 and 0 2. No, there's two different sets of brackets. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's a hell of a lot easier.
Have you considered using a tool like Pry to sniff around what methods and data is available from this request object?
We're probably going to get there here in a minute
Cool.
because I'm just picking Chris's brain until the point where I need to break up and pry.
Well, the only thing that you're doing so far that I haven't actually tried is using the Redis object in the test.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly what it's going to do.
All right, let's find out.
Okay. Try this. If you look at the docs for testing,
Mm-hmm.
a Lita registry object is created. So try registry.redis in your test.
Why am I not seeing this?
Scroll up where it says testing adapters. There. Um, there you go, that object.
Like that.
Yeah. Bah. All right. The docs make it sound like it should be doable. Hmm. where does Redis live? I can probably figure this out on GitHub quicker than I can in the docs. Lib Lita robot. Alright, it's not up for robot. Okay, so it's off of handler. So we have that. It's off of handler. What do we have access to?
Oh wow, yeah, this match is a hell of a lot easier than what I was going to try to do.
Yeah. I don't fully understand what that object is, why it requires the double indexing, because I was expecting an array.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, yeah, I'm not 100% on that. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it in the API docs.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to get at that Redis object. I'm just trying to figure out what the path to that is. Come on. It's got to be off of the registry object. Try all right, because we're gonna just try this. Go back to your Rspec and try registry dot istry dot handlers bracket 0 dot Redis.
Like that.
Yeah, In
Oh.
theory, there's only one registered handler, and that's the one we're testing. Oh, wait, that's good. For set. So get rid of the brackets.
Okay.
Yeah.
No method Redis.
Oh, no, okay. What's set? Crap. This is where my lack of Ruby knowledge. How do you get the first item in a set?
Not slice. It's
Huh.
Mommy thought that was funny.
What's funny?
You wearing Dad's headphones? Take. Looks like.
I don't know. I'm looking at the Ruby docs for it. The Ruby doc doesn't have like a obvious, here's how you get it out.
Mm-hmm. Is set known as something else?
No, it's just a set.
Okay.
You could always do 2A.
And then just take the first.
Yeah. .2_A. And then you can use the bracket 0 notation because it's a list at that point.
Like that?
Yeah.
God, that's gross.
That's what happens when you get a set. Well, that's annoying. So we've got the class object, but we still can't get at it. This is where I go to the chat room and see if anybody's on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
try, is this in the Rspec? Looking at the Lita Rspec,
Yeah, it was like
Lita.Redis.
Redis. Yeah, there. Here's the actual Redis definition.
Yeah, big L.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oops.
I'd be happy if this fails, but it.
There we go.
Oh, your syntax isn't quite right, but that's way better than it was.
Mm-hmm. Where is my syntax wrong here?
There should be a parenthesis there, and remove the one at the very end.
That.
There you go.
Ah, yes. Nice.
Okay, and that's because your user's name is not user1, it's test user. No, it's capital T, capital U with a space in the middle, unless you create a user that, unless you want to create one that doesn't use a space. But now this will probably fail because you're, you won't match it properly. Remember we were talking about how it would fail with a space in the name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to change this regex around.
Well, your options are to change the regex or to change the test so that you create a user with your name, whatever name you want to specify.
Yeah, let's create a user.
Okay. So before the send message, you'll need to create a user.
Yeah, that was. I can just steal what was in the docs.
Yep.
Okay. Testing handlers.
Change, still going to fail. Well, no, that might pass now. Yeah. So you need to change a couple things in your spec still.
Okay.
Where you have user.name should be user1.name. They're in the third line in your first expect, because you expect that the bot is going to say the user's name, not yeah. And then you should change that get to use user1.name instead of the quoted user1 there, so that if you change things later, your test won't have to get updated. There you go. So in theory, that should pass now, right?
Sounds like it.
Why did we not get a name for that user?
No, I'm not interpolating it, right? I'm going to interpolate it.
It shouldn't matter because it's just a string.
Yeah, no, that didn't work.
So that means, let's see. Go back to your last run. Hang on. Okay.
Look what Grandma got me.
Oh, wow. It's pretty.
Bracelet.
Yeah.
This one next to her next uncle.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Why is it not storing? Go back to your code.
Mm-hmm.
Let me here. These are on here. I have found the
Oh.
Yeah.
Shouldn't request matches there in your code be 0, 0, and 0, 1?
This one would be 0, 0, and 0, 1.
Yeah, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0, 1.
Nope.
All right. This is where you bust out pry and make sure your match is doing what you think they are. You probably have to,
Really?
yeah, add it to. There you go.
Wow, it's on here. Of all the things that aren't in here. You know what? I'm sorry. I've got to do this real quick. Where is it? Templates. Plugin. That's it. There we go. You like it?
I like it.
Okay, here we go.
All right, just see what request.matches 0, 0 is.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
There's a space here.
There.
So where's that space coming from?
You're allowing for any character there. I would say you probably want to put a white space star after that, after the second colon. Yeah, something like that. Because any chat program, if you tab complete the name like that, it'll probably won't add the colon by default. So you eventually would want to make that optional. But I think you want little s. No, you want big S there, little s star before or after the colon. There you go. Because that'll cause it to eat the white space, and then the big S will catch the. No, leave that big S in there.
No, it didn't work.
It's because you're using B and not little s.
That.
Yeah. And then change the dot to. I guess it doesn't matter actually, as long as you eat the white space at the beginning with the little s.
I'm with you now. I'm with you now.
Yeah. But I'd say the little s you probably want a star after, in case they hit spacebar twice or something. Or if they don't hit spacebar.
I like that.
Yeah, so you want to match that, and you also want to match the case where there's no space at all. So
Yeah,
little s star should handle that.
it matches it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's this again? There you go. Yeah. Still didn't match it though. So put it in and pulled it out. Or put it in, but it's not pulling it out now.
Put the pry in the Rspec file then. I'd say put it after the send message, because you want those to happen before you're interested in anything. There you go. So do a lita.redis, yeah. Finish your parenthesis. What is user1.name? All right. Lita.redis.keys.
Wait.
No, that's right. So when you use the Redis object, it automatically namespaces it for you.
Oh, okay.
So that second key, handlers ambush user one, try to do a
I lost you. Hello. Oh no.
I lost him too,
Aw.
but that means that the error's on his end at least. T-Mobile's doing a really good job with this.
Oh, that's good. He'll be back.
So maybe I missed this. Like when you and Chris were working on this before I joined. Why not stub the response from Redis? Like, I worry that this might fail on Travis, or can you tell Travis to fire up Redis for you?
You can tell Travis to fire up Redis for you.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a Redis dash server plugin you can do for your Travis run. So.
Is this is the like actual Redis functionality something that should be covered by maybe some part of the Lida in like frameworks test coverage though?
I see where you're going with that, but because this whole plugin is based off of basically injecting things into Redis and then pulling them out, and then doing regex matching, I figured that would be, required for us to write tests around it. But that's just me.
I'd be doing it too, just so that I could find out firsthand pro-con whether or not I wanted to do it. But I don't know. That's what I was wondering.
No, it's a legit wonder because it does seem like we're a little bit wasting our time here, but I don't think we are.
No, it's not a waste of time at all. I definitely would want to know how the data is stored.
No, okay. No, that's valid too. I really have already learned quite a bit, which is awesome.
Yeah, the Reddit plugin he wrote has really been great.
We should throw that. I do really I want to deprecate J2bot and put Lita in there too. I haven't fully grasped Lita yet because I feel like I need to be able to write my own plugin first before I can start using it.
Alright, I'm back.
I disagree. I've never written a plugin, but I run a Lita bot.
So yeah, Chris, you completely dropped out there, man.
All right. So what I was trying to get you to do was do a lita.redis.get on the entire qualified key. So do a lita.redis.keys. And then do a lita.redis.get on that entire handler's, yeah, that one. Okay. So that just means that you'll need to fully qualify the key in your Rspec, which is a little annoying but does make some sense. Because really the Redis object off Alita doesn't know anything about your plugin. But the key would be, yeah, handlers :ambush :username still. So that should work.
Who?
There you
Yeah.
go. All right. So we learned something.
Yeah, we did. Awesome. So we
So
now inject and pull out data.
yeah, and like I said before, doing it that way, now you've tested that now you're also testing your groups and your regex and everything else.
Okay. So the next test is um, should not wait. So we've tested that we can type ambush : something. We've tested that our regex matches the two matching and puts it inside of Redis. But we should see now what happens if we do two messages, right? So if we have message 1 and then this is also a taco, we should come back with both messages, right?
Yeah, in theory.
Okay.
If that's the functionality you want.
Yeah. It should send out two messages.
Well, this is going to be store because you're just going to check Redis, right? You're not actually triggering the ambush part yet.
Store two. Okay, so I need to store two messages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a burrito, whatever. I can't spell. And then we should also do this too. We should see it twice, right? Because we've done it twice. And then we should, there's got to be a better way to do this. Right? Or am I, what, this doesn't seem right. What am I doing wrong?
You're realizing that the way you're trying to store your key values isn't going to work for multiple messages, is what you're realizing.
No. Okay. So do we need to add a timestamp to it or
No.
a numerator?
There's a better way.
Okay.
Redis allows you to store lists natively. So you can still use the username as a key, but instead of storing a string as the second, or instead of using put or set, you can use lset or whatever the list one is. Hang on, I have it up here. Come on, I'm using it here, aren't I? L push.
Oh, push.
Yeah. So basically, if you go to the Redis docs, you can read all about it. But Redis, I'll leave that. You want that?
Okay.
Yeah. You're just going to change it slightly. But so Redis allows you to manage lists natively using L push and R push to push from the left to the right. So basically, you pick a direction and stick with it. But it works kind of like a queue in that if you push from the left and pop from the right, you get things in an ordered queue.
Mm. Okay.
So what you're going to want to do is, so by changing that in your code, you've broken your test. You're testing the storage test. What is the...
Is it RPOP?
I think it is RPOP, actually.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
I'm looking at the list stuff now.
This brings back a lot of Rails stuff in my head.
Yeah, that's RPOP.
There you go. It's all pop. It works.
Yeah. So now basically, so all you have to think about it is now you're using it as a queue. So you're pushing in from the left and you're pulling out from the right. So as long as you do the same thing in your code later, when you go to actually send the ambushes to the users, you're going to be good to go.
Nice. Nice. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
So the test pass, I missed the new test running. Awesome.
Yep.
So the only improvement you might make is if you're interested in timestamps.
That seems like a good idea.
So then the question is, do you keep the timestamp as part of the object you're storing, or do you just add it to the string you store? If you add it to the string you store, it'll take a little bit more work on your testing side because you'll probably just want to regex the string part or the time part of your string where you're doing your expect. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or if we
String
just...
option sounds crappy and inelegant, but you're only going to be able to use relative times anyway because chat users are going to be in different time zones. So all you're going to be printing is like 3 hours ago, so why not store an epoch-style timestamp?
Yeah, no, and actually if we have it tell the time that it was stored also, as you said, like 3 hours ago or 10 minutes ago or whatever, that would actually probably be a lot, that would help out a lot of people. Right?
And then you don't have to worry about tracking time zones per user, because that would suck.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I said, the question is more, is it part of the string, or is it, in which case you'd have to parse it if you were going to give something nice, or do you figure out a way to store the object in Redis, which I think you can just do as a...
There's a timestamp in Redis. There's gotta be. There's gotta be.
Oh, I know there's a timestamp.
Time. Yeah, Unix timestamp. So... No?
Yeah, but that doesn't really get you anything.
Well, no, if we store it as a Redis timestamp attached to the message, right? And then we pull out the Redis timestamp and figure out what the Redis timestamp is, or figure out what the time is. When we pull it out, we figure out the whatchamacallit. No?
No, because now you don't have a way to key it. So you're trying to store, basically you're trying to store three pieces of information together. So a list probably isn't the best way to do it. A timestamp probably isn't.
What about a list of hashes as opposed to a list of maybe ambush objects that you'd have to figure out how to transform into Redis things?
Yeah, no, a list of hashes is it. I don't know if you can actually put a hash into a list.
Nor do I.
I don't think I've ever tried. Do I have Redis running?
I mean, you could just make Ruby fart out YAML if you really wanted to use strings to store hashes.
Hang on. Lpush test key, and I want to store date 111 string hello. What if I quote this whole thing? And lpop test key. Yeah, you could. I mean, so if you use a list like we're using, you'd have to do something like JSON stringify it or something, which I'm sure Ruby has a built-in that's really nice. But it would have to be in a string representation of it.
Well, I like that idea a lot less then. If we're using Ruby, we should use YAML instead of JSON, but the idea is still inelegant.
Yeah. Get all.
That's
Yeah.
like worse than storing the time as an integer prepended to whatever else we were already storing.
Well, there's a hash inside of Redis.
Yeah, and it's not particularly great either.
Oh.
Yeah, if I was doing this like in JavaScript, I would just store the JSON equivalent of, an object that has a epoch timestamp and the string and the value. I don't know what Ruby has built in for marshalling, but yeah, that's how I build it in JavaScript for sure.
Ruby's native hash object has a .toYAML method and .from YAML constructor that could be super handy.
There you go. Do that.
Okay. So sorry, I was off in my own little world.
All right. So basically, instead of pushing it like this, you're going to want to create a, what's it called? Just a Ruby hash or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So create a hash with a timestamp and a value or string properties, whatever you want to call them. You don't even have to store the user here because you'll have it as the key.
Yeah, I think you just need the message.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe some Ruby style guide would tell you to use colons after the hash keys as opposed to hash rockets. But that's because I'm reading the Eloquent Ruby book.
Yep. And then store hash.toYAML or whatever it is.
Like that.
So then store hash should be a string. I think there's an A in that method name, though. To YAML.
Oh,
I think you may also need a comma between the elements of the hash.
yeah, that sounds right.
Don't remember seeing.
Son of a bitch.
Remember, you're recording this.
Yeah, no, I know.
I don't care how late it is. Ruby coding after dark.
That's one reason why I am recording it. So in a year's time, I can come back to it and be like, "Oh my God, what the hell was wrong with me?" No, it's not too YAML.
You may need to require YAML. I think you have to quote it. Just the argument.
Oh yeah, Jesus. Yeah, there it is. Yep, there it goes.
That time's not quite right, though.
Yeah, you probably want something more like an integer. I think that since the YAML module is built in, you don't actually need to add that to the gem spec, right?
No, you shouldn't need to. Is it epoch?
I forgot.
Oh no,
Um,
two int, two I.
Nice, yeah.
There we go.
time now 2i. I like it.
Okay. So then we push this in here.
Yep.
Like that.
Yep. And now watch your test fail.
Boom. There we go. Time message. This is a taco.
Yeah. So now in making your test pass, you actually learn how to write what you need to write later for parsing it and doing the ambushing.
All right. Um, so
That's hilarious.
What?
The smoke detector in this motel room has a sticker on it that says "push to hush" and an arrow to the button. And the word "hush" is on this sticker.
I'm at a loss here because the hash comes out with.
Yeah. So here's where I'd start. You're going to need to create a local variable to store the value of the rpop, because basically what you want to do, now you're going to want to check. Right now you just have the expect Lita Redis rpop.
Mm-hmm.
So that store that value in a variable, just the rpop call. So now you have to figure out how to turn that back into a hash, which Greg hopefully knows.
I mean, I've done it before, but I would just Google it for example, because I can't remember completely. Stack Overflow would be better.
Looks like it's just YAML.load.
Yeah, you may need to load the contents of the file as a string and then initialize a hash from it or something. I don't know. I generally try not to do this.
So already I'm not doing something right here. Redis rpop. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Where are you at?
There we go. Okay. So, yeah. So now I've created this. This is now broken out to this.
Okay.
And then,
So this Rspec is going to require a YAML, just FYI.
right. Okay.
And then you're going to want to create a new variable that's going to store the contents of YAML.parse. Or YAML load, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then it just takes in that read its rpop string, which is going to be your YAML string.
Okay.
Now, your expect there should be able to say outputted YAML and then in the brackets you could do, I believe you can just do :MSG.
Oh, I'm with you now. Okay.
Yeah.
Molly got utilities.
She did. Wow.
YAML's all uppercase. There you go.
Wow.
So you may want to do another expect there if you care to test if time is an integer, or that you can parse that time, but probably not worth it. Or maybe actually you would do dot exists. No, that's not it. Yeah, it is. You're using the same variable twice.
Wait, so,
Just do it after the first expect. That way you don't have to create two new variables, because they can just reuse those names. Yeah.
oh, like that, okay.
Yeah. Because it's going to pop them off. What?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so the other test you could do if you cared was you could test, and I'd probably do an exists test on the message on the time property. So I mean, you could just do expect output of YAML, or I guess there's a fancy way to say expect exists or expect null in Rspec. I don't remember offhand. Yeah, you can just type exist there. I just found it. And change that to time. And it's just exist. No exists. Yep. No. Change the colon message to colon time.
Oh, got it, I'm with you now.
Yep. So that should still pass. Does not. Why doesn't it reply to exists? Oh.
Can you match a regular expression? This one would be really easy.
You could always use have attributes. Right. No, I posted an example in the chat. So you'd get rid of the.
Pyro, stop it. Stop it. No, you're gonna wake up Izzy.
No, that'd be time.
Yep.
And then get rid of the box time and earlier in that line. And then add a that won't work. because it won't be that. You could do less than or equal, but I would just do a value like I pasted. A value greater than 0. That just confirms that it's a number without having to resort to regex. Or it blows up. Oh. Yeah, you're missing your closing parenthesis on that line. Huh. I hate Ruby sometimes.
Yes.
Fine. Um, there, do this. Back to your code. Do expect output of YAML box time to be greater than 0.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah. Gotta love easy mode.
Yeah. You could also do, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could do less than time.now.i or 2i, or less than or equal to anyway. But I'm not sure if that really tests anything either. You're just confirming that it's a number and it exists.
Yeah, that's fine.
You have to kind of assume that time.now is going to work.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. All right. So we now have a function or definition that ambushes and stores data and a timestamp along with it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I guess the next step is to create a route for saying something. Right?
Yeah. Easiest route ever.
Mm-hmm. That's $1.
You can do a dot star there.
What's going on?
Creating somebody saying something now.
Oh, when to trigger the responses.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
I literally heard the light bulb go off. Whoa, what happened here?
Couldn't you just match like slash dot slash instead of anchoring it to the beginning and ending of the string and using optionally 0 or more dots?
Slash. Say it again.
Like couldn't it just be without the escape even, so that it matches any message that has a character in it? I don't know. I just thought it was simpler.
You just did a dot.
Yeah, dot would work.
This now blows up. 7. Why is this failing?
It's failing now because it's going to route everything. So there's not 2 routes up there. You now have a route for them.
And that makes sense. Okay. Alright. So this is what they did in Java or CoffeeScript.
I think the only thing it could be expected not to route would be an empty string.
But Lena never allows you to hear an empty string.
Alright, so if Redis dot rpop.
Do you want to? Never mind.
No, I'm listening. What?
Because you can rpop it and like set a variable to it, so you can keep the data. You don't have to like query to see if it has something that you want to pop before popping it. Just pop it into a variable and then use the variable if the pop was successful. Yeah, but you probably know that already.
Rpop will always be successful. Actually, it never fails. What you do is you rpop it into a variable, and then nil check the variable.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, you wouldn't even want to start with the if statement there. You would just say message or stored YAML equals redis.rpop.
Like that.
Yeah. Or and then you need the key.
That.
Yep. Just remember, you're now coding without having a test, in case you're trying to stick to your test first mentality.
Yeah, you're right. It should respond with the message board to end. So I need to store these messages first. Begin to is there a begin end block that I'm supposed to do or something like that?
I would do it as part of the spec or as part of the test. I wouldn't do any setup like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm probably just making myself more.
Yeah, it's going to be more complicated than it needs to be.
I feel like down the road, though, you may want there to be some like shared setup of test data rather than duplicating these lines of code that do it.
Oh,
Oh,
agreed.
totally.
Yeah, agreed. But I'm trying to get something, published first, and then
Yeah, later.
Yeah. No, if you ever read any of the test first books, this is exactly how you do it. You copy and paste code, you get a failing test, you make the test passed, and then you refactor everything to get rid of duplication. We've just kind of skipped the refactoring part so far.
mainly because we don't really need to.
Right.
I mean, on the code side at least.
Gotcha.
Okay.
One thing I'd recommend, JJ, is create 2 different user objects because you're going to need them.
Oh, that's very true. Very, very good point.
And you also will need to change that number because that's a user ID.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So as long as they're different, because Lita will complain if you try to create 2 with the same ID.
All right. Okay.
And then, yeah,
Okay.
change your first send message
Mm-hmm.
where you have user1. You need to actually say user2.name. There you go.
Okay. And then,
Keep going. You're going to want to expect to hear. I think you have lines like that further up.
nope. I didn't
Oh,
notice here one.
we did all those, didn't we? Yeah, so you want to do the expect replies.last because you're just going to want to see that the message got posted in chat, right?
Ah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Oh, we did have one up there. Okay.
How should I do this? This is a taco at some timestamp.
I wouldn't timestamp it. You're gonna want to probably, to be the most user friendly, do like Greg said and say if it's under a minute, you say in seconds ago. If it's under an hour, you say in minutes ago. If it's under 4 hours or whatever, you say in hours ago.
But how do we test that?
What you would probably do is store a ambush. Send a message to store an ambush,
Mm-hmm.
and then actually have your test go and find that key, edit the timestamp, and then you'll be able to actually you could actually edit it and make it say whatever you want to say because you could do time.now versus that time. The better option is probably to just regex that part, whatever you decide it to be, and just manually do some testing there.
Okay.
So that's up to you on how you want to test that exactly.
Well, let's just get it working, and then we can work with the timestamp after the fact, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even if you shipped it without timestamps right now, you'd have a working, or you'd be basically at a working state, and then timestamps could be your first improvement.
Yeah. An explicit conversion from nil to string.
Why are those failing now?
I bet the data is getting R-popped out of Redis.
Yep.
They don't timer.
I'm lost.
So when you say ambush,
Daddy, this is little timers.
you're
It's
triggering
timers.
both paths at the same time. And since your users are all named user 1, it's putting and then R-popping out your request almost immediately.
Also,
Yeah, I think the response method is being invoked for every message now.
It is, yeah.
So it's just trashing what's in Redis. Also, is it pronounced Redis?
I think it's pronounced Redis. That's how I've heard it referenced.
I've heard both, and I have no idea.
I always say Redis.
I feel like I want to say Redis, and I'm saying Redis. I don't know why even.
So I should put a check in front of this response, right?
Yeah,
Because it trashes everything.
yeah. You know what you could, this is just a thought, so your ambush regex, you could actually store that into a variable, a class variable there, so you can still call a route on that variable, but then in your response you could actually do a match and say, okay, if this actually matches my ambush regex, then don't actually do anything. That's one option. The other option is you can look at the request and see if it starts with ambush, and if it does, you can do nothing. And that's probably the easier of two.
Yeah. So if request dot message equals.
Okay, so what about a non-command message?
None of these are commands currently.
So how do we keep the data from being disposed of if I type LOL and it's not a bot command, but the response route still matches because it's any string?
Well, that's actually, now that you mentioned that, it's probably for the better idea, JJ. Have the ambush command be a bot command, so that you actually have to say, lead an ambush, and then have the response route take anything.
Okay.
Although I'm not sure. That'll probably still match though.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we need to match any message because all we're looking for is a response from a message from the user that an ambush has been left for. So we need to check every message to see if there's an ambush for that user. But the problem is, if on every check, what? No, wait. Why is the data? Yeah, no, my understanding's incomplete. I want to think more before I talk more.
All right.
For a moment there, I was thinking that it wouldn't only pop data out of Redis for the same user.
I think I'd go back to my earlier thought. Store the ambush regex in a variable, and then in response, just do a request.message.match variable.
I was going to go with every single response, look for anything that matches the inside of Redis for the user. And if you match against the user, the key, do something. Otherwise, skip it. So
Well, that's
everything.
that's what the pop's going to do. The problem is if you search for the key on every response, if somebody sets an ambush, it can still cause issues.
Maybe I'm missing something.
All right, if you change the response to, hang on.
Wait, so the problem is that both routes are being invoked for, like, when only the first route should have been when only the ambush route is being invoked, the response route is also being invoked, so we're putting data in and immediately taking it out.
Couldn't we just do that?
No.
Oh.
Because it's going to fire every one every time.
And it's a race condition anyway. I think the routes are, or the responses for routes are threaded.
Check the chat. I would do something like that in response.
Maybe unless instead of if.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I think unless is the Ruby way.
Or I think, could we do if request message starts with ambush, then bail out of this block like a break?
Yeah, that's not the Ruby way though. The unless is the Ruby way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Unless that's true, then or do whatever the block start is.
Then we have like this method just being a wrapper for this other unless block, I think.
Yeah, that's. I mean, there's no super elegant way to go about this.
Okay. So
I don't remember.
this message starts with true.
Yeah, that's why it's an unless, because if that's true, you want to bail out.
Yep. To end. Why is that not?
Does this appease Rspec enough?
Why is that not working properly?
It's because you're using the wrong editor.
You don't need a. You don't need a then or a begin or a do or anything. It's just unless and then end.
Yeah, it's the same syntax as as an if statement. It just replaces if not. Is starts with plural starts?
Probably. Told you guys I'm bad at Ruby.
You've probably written more Ruby than I have.
Well, no, it says start with. What's the error?
Undefined method starts with question mark for lead up
That's
message. I
that's
mean,
because
do we need to
message.
two-string that or something?
No, there'll be a string. Hang on.
Like request.message.toS dot starts with? Is that a method of the string object as opposed to the
Knows
method
how much
object?
stick.
You want body. Message.body.
Uh,
No, you still need the starts with part. There you go. And it's just start, not starts, which is really grammatically strange.
sorry.
No, it should be starts with. That's really weird.
So it means storage messages not fail.
What is it?
Oh, and that's because you changed it to a command, but you're not doing send command, you're doing send message.
Ah.
So anytime you want to do the ambush, you need to change it to send command. That's better. Yeah, now you're failing the test that you just wrote that you haven't finished implementing. So in your Rspec, though, change that second send command where it says I like back to a send message. There you go. Okay, so now you can finish implementing it.
Okay, so the stored YAML is now there. So then, whoops. Um, that's interesting.
You popped it once. Once you pop it, it's nil. Because you popped it and then you tried popping an empty value.
Oh, fuck. Thanks.
So I think you want to YAML.load that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier about writing your test. You want to copy the code out of your test and just put it into your file there.
I
Yeah.
see.
It's the best part about writing tests.
Okay. then I load the YAML as outputted YAML. And then I want to output YAML. Yeah.
Looks good.
Oh, that worked.
Yep. And with that, you have a fully functional ambush bot.
Holy crap. That's insane.
Don't you want to include who the message is from in the response?
Yeah, probably.
So you don't know the requester's name yet. The ambusher. But yeah, you get the right idea.
You got a space there.
Yeah, there's a space in your string.
Thanks.
And also, it's were, not where. And now I have to fix all of your tests.
I think it's just one.
Well, yeah, but now your test coverage is bad because you're not testing that the ambusher is being stored.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yay!
Exactly. If you're going to do it right. In this case, you should probably just copy and paste that string.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The "this is a taco" thing.
But it didn't do this output. The
ambusher is going to be user1.name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's no sense in pulling it out, and you can't pull it out and parse it again, because then the bot won't be able to do that. Well, I guess you could, because you don't have to pop it. You could peek, but in this case, you don't need to, and you're already testing that functionality. So here you can just use the hard-coded strings. Or you could assign the strings to variables and then use the variables, but whatever.
Yeah, no, that makes more sense. Okay.
I think you should also test for the case where there are no stored ambushes, but you get a response from a user anyway.
Yeah. Should do nothing if no ambush.
Okay.
That's what you're after, right, Greg?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't expect it to do nothing. I expect it to barf trying to parse an empty string into, or no, an empty string should be able to be made into YAML, but then it may reply, while you were out, nobody said nothing.
Oh, and that would just dump the channel with that message whenever somebody sent anything.
Well, yeah, that unless should handle the case where, or it should dump out without even trying to hit Redis in the no message case.
Wait a minute, isn't the response here... Alright, so if the response method is invoked for my first message of the day, the message body is not going to start with ambush, it's going to start with morning.
Right. And it'll just dump out because we used unless.
Yeah,
Or-
that's perfect.
This is what Greg was talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's still matching against us.
Oh, that unless is wrong, isn't it? Unless it starts with that. No, that's right. So hang on, go back to the error.
I keep muting myself and forgetting that I've done it. What we meant was bail unless rather than only unless. So we actually unless that or I think we just mean break if the message body starts with ambush.
Yeah, go to 23. So it's trying to load that. So that block is not, yeah. Why isn't that block doing what I think it should?
It's because we don't actually mean unless the message body starts with ambush. We mean ignore messages that start with ambush, but still do it in other cases.
Well, no, that's what. Unless
I don't think that's what this unless is going to do.
Yeah. So change unless to if not.
Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy.
Well,
I want that. I want that painting.
We'll see. If not,
Frozen Platter Dog.
yeah.
Listen, no, okay. My faith in unless has come back. I don't think if not changes anything. I think I might have just been thinking about this wrong again. I'm sorry.
Well, if not, yeah, if not and unless should be theoretically the same. It's just which one you want to write. So that start with is returning false.
So it continues, and then it fails.
So what I think we wanted was don't pop Redis immediately after storing the ambush, not but our unless is like too aggressive here. No.
No, it should just it should because everything else is in the unless block. The theory is if it starts with ambush, it skips this block, because it's supposed to be an if-then block. And since there's nothing else, it does nothing. So the problem is that request. Can you, hey JJ, put a pry before that unless. Now run request.message.body.start with ambush. Okay. So that's fine.
So the test, if we wrote the test correctly, then our code is failing because we can't YAML load an empty string, right?
Yeah.
That is correct.
That's it.
So
Why don't we just look for an empty string and just skip everything?
No, because you don't want to pop it inadvertently. Change it to if then. Make sure you add the then too. I know this is irritating me now.
why don't we do outputted YAML gets YAML.load or? No, that's the problem. Is so pop nil. So let's check to see if it's nil before we try to YAML load it, and then YAML load some null-like value that will actually flow. Or decide that we don't want to.
Yeah, no, okay. So if less was fine, I see. We're trying, yeah, you're right, Greg. I missed it. Yeah, no, Greg's right. We need to do a stored YAML.nil check before you try to parse it. Good call.
So the line after that,
No. Just you're gonna have to if statement it or something, or do another unless.
YAML.nil question mark.
Okay.
just to unless there's all the way around the planet.
Nope. Next line. Yeah, if stored YAML nil. No, just .nil question mark. There you go. And actually, it should be an if not, because you're going to put the next two lines in a block.
We have another bail if condition here. We might, yeah.
And then put your end after request.reply line. Yeah, I don't know. Does Ruby allow for empty return if you want to bail early?
Yes.
I thought so.
You can just keep going over and over again. I have an example of that if you want to see it.
Okay. Run your test. That should pass now.
Yeah. That is gross, though.
Yeah, well, so you've missed a case where you have multiple messages stored. And so I think you can clean this up with a fancy while loop. And I think replies is a collection, so you should be able to do, instead of replies.last, you should be able to do replies box 0, or yeah, bracket 0 and replies bracket 1. In theory.
Okay.
So run that. That should fail because you're only going to get one message. Oh yeah, because it's stored in the chat. So you probably actually want replies 1 and 2. Oh, right, 2 and 3. Because you'll have two lines that say I stored an ambush, and you'll have 2 lines that are the responses. Sorry, math is hard. That's better. Yeah. So that's the second message that it's not sending now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Ruby while. Okay. So here would be my recommendation. So that where that says if or if not stored YAML nil, change that to while not stored YAML nil, and then add a do at the end.
Nice.
And then under request.reply, copy and paste that stored YAML equals redis.rpop line. Sorry, I kind of gave you this answer, but so that should load everything in order and just cycle through everything that's in that list.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Told you, fancy while loop.
Yep. And I'll let you slide on that answer, being that you gave that to us, because that was sexy. That was really sexy. Awesome, man.
Yeah. No, Ruby's whiles are a little nicer than some of the others I've dealt with. Mostly because Ruby has a lot of nice helpers like the nil check and stuff. It just makes everything look really pretty.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. So authors: Chris Baker and Greg. I can never remember.
TSON, and that's too kind. I don't feel like I barely contributed enough.
Um,
Greg, you were here for the moral support.
yeah, you were.
And you came up with some good ones, don't worry.
And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this. I'm going to put the link to this video, in the whatchamacallit, the README also, right? So people could just watch it and see how to do this.
Yeah, cool.
Exton@gmail.com. To do. Description is allow Lena to ambush your users.
Most interesting fact of the night, we wrote probably 3 times as many lines of tests than we did actual code, as test first usually goes.
Users.
Look, Daddy. Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Look, frozen candy rings.
Yeah. I think this is simply saying a 1.0 release.
Close enough.
Right. And then
I
let's
think
go.
my Reddit plugin is up to 0.0.0.7 or something.
Okay, and then the README that I sent out earlier was a gist, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You want water for a paint to get wet to dry.
Yeah, it's a very good
We
idea.
need water about that.
Yeah, sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, and your usage doesn't quite match because you didn't add the message indicator line.
Oh yeah.
But not really necessary for a 1.0 release.
To do. And
Yeah.
do. That's lazy enough, right?
And your configure actually isn't there yet.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the
That can be the 1.1 release.
there you go.
All right. Anything else?
I'd to do mark that too. Because that optional attribute isn't there.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't forget to double check Markdown rendering with a gist or something.
Yeah, good call.
Markdown rendering is the worst.
It really is.
I like Markdown so much, but I always have to. All the different rendering implementations are different,
Yeah.
and I just always have to test it.
I
Feels so counter to the design purpose of Markdown.
I have so much trouble with it because I go from like Confluence and Jira, back and forth between that and Markdown, and it's completely different. Remembering how to even do stuff, especially in Jira, sometimes is just a gigantic pain.
All right. Anything else jumping out at you guys?
I don't think so.
Last test. All right. Status. Git add. Git commit. All right. Create. Push.
Please tag it as well.
Git tag.
If you're going to put it on Ruby gems, you can just do rake publish or whatever it is. What's the rake file? Yeah.
Rake release.
Rake release. I assume you're already logged into Ruby gems, so.
Yeah.
There you go. Now it's published and everything. It's already pushed. Oh, maybe not. I forgot you hadn't actually pushed it to Origin yet.
Yep. Vita ambush. Settings. Collaborators. All right. What else? Does it show up more or less instantaneously on Lita?
No, that list takes. I think it does it once a day or something because it took about 12 hours for Lita Reddit to show up on the list.
Okay.
But as long as it's tagged, which you didn't, you had the gem file auto-generated, so the gem file tags it with a Lita handler, so that list is auto-generated based on gems on Ruby gems that have the tag Lita handler.
Sweet.
Yeah. So check sometime tomorrow, and you should see it on the list.
Awesome. Damn, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And it's time to start playing with Lita all the time.
Yeah, I got to finish the work I'm doing for the next release of the Reddit bot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got mod queue nearly done. I want to add a little bit of moderation, and then I'll release that, and it'll really help Reddit chat room people.
Nice. Nice. Well, I'm going to stop the broadcast. Here, we'll see that real quick.